Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. A second batch of classified documents reportedly found by Biden's aides at a new location, and the White House today dodging key questions. NTD's Iris Tao brings us more.
More documents have been found. That's according to a new report today by NBC News, which cites an unnamed source. The report says aides to Biden have discovered at least one additional batch of classified documents in a location separate from the Penn Biden Center, where the first batch was found. The report adds that after the first batch was found in November, Biden's aides have been searching for any additional documents that might be in other locations he used. Meanwhile, right before NBC broke that story this afternoon, the White House held its first media briefing after admitting on Monday to the discovery of the first batch of documents. The press secretary dodging a barrage of questions, including why the White House kept it from the public for months after the documents were first found in November.
Again, I'm not going to get into details. I'm not going to get beyond what the president shared yesterday. He laid out what he knew, when he knew it. All I can say is what the president said yesterday. I would refer to his comments.
All this as lawmakers are calling for more disclosure. House Republicans have already launched an investigation into the handling of the documents. And in the Senate, the top Democrat of the Intelligence Committee is calling for Congress to be briefed on the matter. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
Abortion, the issue among the first priorities for the Republican-led House, taking up a bill today they say is meant to protect babies that survive an attempted abortion. NTD's Melina Wisecup reports from Capitol Hill.
On a vote of 220 to 210, the House passed a bill meant to require proper medical care for a baby who survives an attempted abortion.
An NBC report in 2006. They told the story of a 23-week-old baby boy that was born alive at an abortion clinic in Hialeah, Florida. When he began breathing and moving, the abortion clinic owner, Belkis Gonzalez, reportedly cut the umbilical cord and zipped him into a biohazard bag.
One Democrat, Henry Cuellar, joined Republicans to pass it. The 7-page bill would impose consequences if one does not give proper care to a living baby, including prison time of up to 5 years. It specifies that mothers would not be prosecuted. Instead, mothers could obtain relief, money damage for all injuries, psychological and physical.
The facts that we're talking about here, a child has been born alive. Its heart is beating, its eyes are blinking. Taking care of that baby is not extreme. It is basic human dignity.
On the other side of the aisle, Democrats dismiss the bill as a political stunt, arguing there are already laws in place to protect babies born alive.
It is a crime now to kill a child born alive. In fact, in May of 2013, a Philadelphia man was convicted of first-degree murder in the killing of 3 infants.
The Democrat House leader says he believes this bill is just the first step.
A nationwide ban, government-mandated pregnancies, part of an extreme MAGA Republican agenda.
What would your response be to that?
I'd say that the last Congress, we saw the most extreme nature of Democrats. When you agree to the abortion of a baby up until the moment of birth, that's extreme.
So, Melina, we know there's been a lot of action there in Congress happening around the abortion issue over the past 2 years, especially after the fall of Roe versus Wade. Could you give us an idea of the political climate around this issue on the Hill?
Now, this bill that the Republican-led House pushed today with their slim majority is, just comes just months after Democrats who controlled the House at the time pushed a couple of abortion bills, one of which would have codified Roe versus Wade. The other bill would have protected women who were crossing state lines to have abortion access if the state where they lived imposed abortion restrictions. Now, that latter bill was supported by 3 Republicans in the House. And we've seen abortion become a very big messaging strategy from Democrats. We saw that especially right before these past elections, where we really saw that Democrats were using the overturn of Roe versus Wade and the abortion issue to really rally voters to the polls. As for this bill that Republicans pushed in the House today, this is mainly a messaging opportunity for House Republicans. That's because it obviously does stand up against a Biden White House and a Democrat-controlled Senate where it would ultimately fail. Steve, back to you.
Melina, thank you for that. New York State Republicans are calling for newly elected U.S. House Representative George Santos to resign. They say his lies went too far, especially when he lied about his parents being Holocaust survivors.
George Santos' campaign last year was a campaign of deceit, lies, and fabrication.
Meanwhile, Santos told reporters on Capitol Hill that he will not resign.
I will not, guys. We're going to need a little space here.
New York Republicans are calling you a disgrace. You will not resign.
In December, Santos admitted to lying about a variety of things during his campaign, including his education and career. Earlier this week, New York Democratic Congressman Daniel Goldman and Richie Torres filed an official complaint with the House Ethics Committee against Santos. Torres said that the complaint does not call for disciplinary action, but for an investigation from the committee. Dr. Peter McCullough is a physician and highly regarded internist and cardiologist who's actually the most published medical doctor in his field. We just had a chance to sit down with Dr. McCullough. We spoke to him about a range of vaccine-related issues, starting with the military rollback of the vaccine mandate. Here's a look. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Doctor, the military has rescinded the vaccine mandate. If you could, how big of a deal is this, and where does this leave us overall in terms of mandates?
Out of all the sectors that we have in the economy and our American existence, the military had the strongest commitment to COVID-19 vaccination. And Lloyd Austin was clear, and he exemplified that commitment. So for those in the health freedom movement, this is one of the largest victories that can be claimed, that indeed the mandates were defeated. The mechanism was through the House and the Senate, ultimately the White House signing off of this, and it was basically based on appropriation. But what we know is the vast majority of the military, in fact, took one of the COVID-19 vaccines, or they have had an exit from the military because they wouldn't.
Doctor, there's been studies that show that those who have been vaccinated may be more susceptible to catching COVID-19. Is this in fact true? And if you could give us some science behind that.
There were papers published in 2021 expressing concern on this, and the terms came up, one of them, immune imprinting, meaning the vaccines code for a legacy variant. Even today, the bivalent vaccines are 50% formulation. The previous vaccines were 100% formulation for the original Wuhan Institute of Virology strain of the COVID-19 spike protein. Well, if the human body gets exposed to that strain of spike protein that doesn't exist in nature, over and over again, every 6 months, the immune system is directed against that false target, and so leaves one more susceptible to get a new strain of COVID-19. And so the Wuhan strain is long gone. We've gone through alpha and beta and gamma, delta, and now Omicron. So this immune imprinting appears to be real. The clinical manifestation of that is called negative efficacy, meaning when someone takes a vaccine, they're more likely to get COVID-19 than someone who's never had one at all.
Doctor, I'd like to ask you about the NFL football player Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills, who recently suffered a cardiac arrest on the field. Is it appropriate to ask whether or not his condition, situation may have been vaccine-related?
It's my judgment that the declaration of protected health information, something about you that's protected under HIPAA, the legal standard or the clinical standard should be whether or not it's of public health importance. And so we saw this operationalized through the pandemic where a restaurant or a sports venue, like a Buffalo Bills football game, would ask for someone's vaccine status. They would actually have to give up their protected health information to get into the venue. And why did they do that? Because the claim was it's of public health importance. Now when we flip that around and we're seeing complications from the vaccines that the FDA agrees occur, like myocarditis, blood clots, neurologic injury, when these cases come up and other people are at risk for that problem, it's of public health importance. And so it's based on that chain of logic that it's my professional view that yes, his vaccination status should be disclosed. Why? Because others are at risk. If indeed he took the vaccine which we believe 95% of the NFL players took the vaccine by the NFL's report, that there's a 95% chance he took it. Indeed, if he has suffered a cardiac arrest as a result of taking the vaccine, which is well described in the peer-reviewed literature, now we have a public health importance issue for other players who have taken the vaccine.
Physician and cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.